So good morning. Thank y'all for coming out to help us share this information with the public. About shortly after 8 o'clock this morning, an armed robbery was reported from a local business in the area. And I'm going to let Chief Parker give you the updated information with as much detail as possible. Chief?
Thank you, Sheriff. So good morning. Like the Sheriff said, this morning, just after 8, officers responded to a robbery to a business, an armed robbery to a business. And since that time, we've spoken to a few of the witnesses here in the area. And as early as 7:30 this morning, who turned out to be our suspect in this case, they saw him basically, in their opinion, casing up the business, walking around, waiting for it to open. So just before 8, the store employee opens the business, goes inside. A few customers go inside. And just shortly after 8, he's inside, walking around with a mask on already, not really saying anything. There's one customer down one of the aisles, so they don't see the suspect, what he does, but they hear him make a statement to the clerk, "Give me the money or I'll shoot you." So there is store video of the incident. So that person that heard it but didn't see it had already seen him walking around the store, so he calls it into JSO, puts out a suspect description of what this guy looked like. So as officers are responding, one of the officers coming to the area observes a person matching that description running from the scene and puts it over the radio, "Hey, there's someone matching the screen running from the area." A second officer responding sees the suspect, picks it up over here off of Norfolk, and runs up to him, pulls a car over, gets out. The suspect takes off again. They engage in a short foot pursuit. He chases them around one of the buildings down Norfolk. As they come around, he's giving them repeated commands to stop, drop, get on the ground, stop, stop. He finally catches up to him, and as he's taking him into custody, he takes him down on the ground. The suspect is dropping the money and stuff there at the scene. And as the officer's on top of him, getting ready to secure him, the suspect kind of moves to his right and fires 2 rounds. One of the rounds does hit our officer in the leg. He's at the hospital now. The officer returns fire and shoots the suspect at the scene. So JFRD responds. The officer actually does a really, really good job and immediately provides medical care to himself, puts a tourniquet on his leg. Other officers respond and help out. They provide scene, medical, they're doing their services there at the scene. JFRD responds, transports both to a local hospital. The suspect did not survive his injuries. I'm not putting his information out yet because next of kin has not been notified. I can tell you it's a 20-year-old black male. The officer is at the hospital in stable condition. His name is Officer Luis, Luis Mercado, Mercado III, ID 84678. He's been here 4 years. It's his first officer-involved incident. This is our 10th of the year. The investigation is still ongoing. The state attorney's office is here conducting their investigation. And with that, we can take a few questions.
Whose gun was it? Was it the suspect's gun or any indication at this point?
What do you mean?
In terms of the gun used, was it stolen? Did they have ownership of it? Is there any
That's all being looked at, but yeah, the suspect's gun has been recovered at the scene. I don't know if he owned it or what. He's got a pretty extensive record. He just got out of prison May of 2024. He was in for a bunch of charges, he had a bunch of auto theft charges, drugs, introduction of contraband, robbery by sudden snatching. He had aggravated battery on a pregnant female. And like I said, he just got out May of 24. So obviously he can't buy a gun. So, do the math. We'll figure out where it came from.
Did the suspect live in the area?
That's all being looked at. We don't know yet.
Was it only that one officer who fired shots?
That's what it looks like at this time, yeah.
And the bad guy fired 2 shots. First, striking the officer.
And Sheriff, how many did the officer fire at the suspect?
He fired enough to get the job done. So we don't have to worry about that guy anymore. And it may sound cold, it may sound crass, but if a person will shoot at a policeman for doing his job after he just committed an armed robbery, he'll shoot at anyone. So we don't have to be concerned with him anymore. But he did shoot our officer. He shot twice, shot him once through the leg, exit wound through his buttocks.
And everyone in the nearby business is expected to be okay?
Yes. I'm sure there's probably some traumatic things that they're dealing with. Of course, when you have someone show up early in the morning, they're just there doing their job, and some guy shows up and points a gun in their face and demands their money. They're okay, but we'll offer them some services if they need them. So we'll be glad to do that.
This scene is still very active. How much longer do you expect to have this area closed down, and what's going to happen over at the store? How long is that going to be active?
Well, we're gonna work it as quickly as possible, but because it's off, It's not affecting the roadway, the main roadway, which is Soutel. We're gonna be slow and meticulous about it. Same thing here. Collect all the evidence, get the most photographic evidence as we can, and just to make sure we have everything, Aaron. We're not in a big rush. Don't want to inconvenience people, but we want to make sure that this is done and done correctly.
And then I was just scrambling to write notes. Right after he reached around, fired the 2 shots at the officer. What happened right after that where the officer opened fire?
What happened?
Yeah, if you could just repeat it.
Yeah, his engine shut off. No more fight. It's done. It's over. The officer then rendered himself aid. He put his own tourniquet on, laid down on the ground very calmly, put his own tourniquet on, and was able to get transported at that point to the hospital.
So the officer kind of fired shots right when the suspect did. It was kind of like a boom boom exchange.
It was boom, boom, boom.
I have a question. Is there any other suspects, or he acted alone as
From what we know right now, he acted alone.
Other question about details as far as the description of the guy. I know you said someone said he had gloves on. As far as a mask, was it a mask or was it something that looked like a mask? You elaborate on what?
It was a full mask. His eyes were open. You could see his eyes, but you couldn't see anything else. Everything else was covered.
These ladies know some guy next that description with the do-rag also. Is that the same guy?
That I don't know. We'd have to get that information for you later. I just know the guy that we have is the right guy that was involved in the armed robbery.
Okay.
Thank you, Sheriff.
All right, thank you.